Yo, what is good? My anniversary fool. What is good, yo? Guys, my days. God of high school, please. I need to understand so much more of this show, and with my little bit of knowledge that I've gotten so far, I want to know more. um, Not only is it for excuse me, not only is it forcing me to kind of like remember certain characters and certain aspects of these characters, but I want to try to at least get an understanding of why everybody sure is doing what they're doing. For instance, I had a long talk about the backstory showing up for the characters that wound up losing last week. You know, we got like a full blown characters telling of blah, blee, 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 blah. And then what do they do the next week's episode? It's like they heard the criticism before the episodes even came out. And they're like, man, people are going to eat us alive for dropping some backstory in this battle, knowing that it would have ended out a lot quicker and we could have had a little bit more scenes with the other people fighting. But it's okay because we have backstory. um, so straight up off the top, they give us they give us a battle that has already taken place and has ended. They're like, okay, and this guy has lost, blah blah blah. But you know what they didn't do after we found out he lost, or that after we knew one team was going to have to pull out a double win back to back? They didn't give anyone backstory. That was the nice part of it all, right? Um, it sucks so much to just watch and know that once you get these people's backstory, they were getting bopped, right? Like, all right, we got all the content we need out of them. Got their backstory. We got them flexing with how they could fight. We know that they're not dead, so they could even maybe show up or just die in the future, like stuff like that. And what do? They act as if a whole bunch of people were going to be hurt by seeing them go, that I feel like we lost out on a good opportunity of learning, trying to achieve. Um, so, I honestly think we're getting into what should be the end. Like, this should all lead quite nicely towards the end of the season, with both sides declaring war for the key to either protect God from being hurt, or the key that can bring God down himself, which in itself is another riddle, right? Like, just by them saying these things and showcasing that there's a huge problem outside of what they're dealing with now, that is what ultimately gave me the idea that they're still holding back. They're still withholding information as a whole. So if they are withholding this much information about like why this person is the key, right? Like, who is the key, and why is it that when they're talking about the key, the person we see the whole time they're talking is June, our main character, Morty. So it's like pretty obvious that he is somehow the key to all of this. But where um where does he actually fit, right? Like, where does that key actually need to go? Because as of right now, I do understand why he's so important, especially seeing how they left a note of his grandpa waiting for him the next day after his birthday just passed, so that kind of sucks. Um, but yeah, he was very confident about whoever has faced his grandpa should be pretty much worried about themselves and not so much the grandpa. But I don't think he was ready to see his grandfather completely just like beaten and destroyed. And I think this is what the commissioner knew was possible already. If a grandpa was taken, and mind you, he hasn't seen his grandpa for like 10, for at least 10 years plus, right? He was turning 6, and he's 17 now. So all that time he has not seen his grandpa, and finally gets any information about him, and he's tied up, missing an arm, bleeding, and they just give him a location where he should go. I am ready for whatever this show really throws at us, especially that they didn't go as crazy as I thought they did and killed the family and wife, the wife and kid of the one guy. They were supposedly clones, which, yeah, I guess, I guess after they were attacked, because that's where the commissioner was, in their house, creating a dummy for them to seemingly be there still, which you gotta you gotta imagine that it actually, that dummy gave off the actual like fear of a human or something. Like he actually thought he accomplished it, and not only accomplished it, the dummy must have, like, when it died, it had to have stayed there and like bled and everything. So think of how realistic you have to have something in the grand scheme of going against an assassin, right? You're this is oh, my back was turned. What the heck? You're going against an assassin, and you got to make it feel like he just killed somebody. And trust me, assassins should know what it feels like to do that, you know. So that was the crazy part to me, is to find out that she had such a convincing way to make it feel like he actually took out those people, that he was bragging about it, right? Like, it wasn't just something he did. He's like, bro, I destroyed his family. Like, okay, guy. Thanks, Akuma. Thanks for ruining the video. You're everybody's favorite character in Tekken. But anyway, that all being said, we have some interesting stuff popping off, of course, and it's kind of scary to think of how good some of the abilities and some of the skills are, just like how they look. But then there was the skill of the guy who actually attacks our main character, who ends up winning the final fight, and thank God we didn't get a backstory for him, because he probably would have died then. Um, wow, I'm getting destroyed now. But with that being said, we only get to kind of question where everybody's loyalty lies, because once this quote unquote war pops off, what's stopping any and everybody from being a target, you know? Especially the people that are in these tournaments, who have clearly, showcased some of these powers that could be detrimental to them winning overall, right? If you have any types of powers, you're probably a target already. And to see that there's people out there with grudges against each other outside of just like the main character and his main bad guy or something like that, we have people outside of that group that have clearly some unfinished business, and I love that a lot. So we will definitely see just what ends up popping off. I hope you guys are having an amazing day, night, evening, whatever the case may be when you're watching this. I am your boy, the Anime G, and I will talk to you in the comments if you want to talk about anything I did not go over. So with that being said, take care.